right, Grissette. First question I got for you is let me know about you. What's your background?
So my background, I was born in Aurora. I moved out to Elgin when I like age of 7. Then I got into sports early. Like I always played in the parks. Um, you know, started playing in the city league. Um, you know, after that, obviously high school came around. Um, I got moved up as a sophomore on the varsity. Played 3 years of varsity. I also um, became the 17th all-time scorer in my high school history. Got a little over 1,000 points. My background is similar to a lot of other guys. Um, you know, after that point, I ended up going to college. Um, Ended up originally signed to ECC, and then I got hurt, broke my thumb or whatever, sat out that year, and then like, man, I signed to like 8 different schools, man. You know what I'm saying? Like it was crazy, but it was all a good experience. For me, I really had to go get it. At one point I emailed at least like 50, 60 coaches the same email. Just trying to get my name out there.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up playing my freshman year, my first full year back in 2008, 2009. I went to Kaskaskia. I eventually signed a full scholarship there to Division One JUCO down in Centralia, down by like St. Louis area. Um, Man, I originally started off not even starting. You know what I'm saying? Because I come from being all area in high school and all conference, and really feeling myself. So
Mm-hmm.
when I got to school, like it was different. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Like everything that I did and the confidence that I had, everybody on the team had that,
Yeah.
if not more. You know what I'm saying? So like me, it was a slow start. You know what I'm saying? I was like third string for my position.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, I ended up getting the keys to the car, man, to the team, and end up starting. I started really studying the game, man, like really watching film, really studying and really grinding at that point. But from that point forward, I knew like, you know, I knew what I was capable of, but the fact that I started putting the work into it, off the court,
Mm-hmm.
it really took me to another level. I got all freshman team for the region that year, and that year, that was even still to today one of the toughest regions to play in. So after that, I ended up transferring back closer here, home, which is Elgin. I transferred in the city to Kennedy King, which is another D1 JUCO on the south side. Um, Even with that, you know, me transferring, I had to play at an exposure camp,
Mm-hmm.
and the coach seen me, the coach at the time, he seen me, liked me, or whatever. And before back then, we didn't have all these different outlets as far as you know people video recording and social media, YouTube. Like YouTube's kind of coming about, but
Mm-hmm.
when you was in high school, it wasn't you wasn't putting your clips on there.
Right, right.
So did my thing over there, man, and then after that, um, ended up signing to an NAIA out in Nebraska called Bellevue University. So it was at the time it was D2 NAIA. Then ended up having my son after that. So obviously you got to choose between you know trying to really make this school thing work or
Mm-hmm.
you got responsibilities. So
Yeah.
at that point, I merged over into the coaching side a couple years down the road. I got into training shortly after college. My first team that I actually coached was my son's T-ball team,
Gotcha.
and I knew nothing about T-ball, but you know, I just I was just being a father that obviously for me I had the coaching desire, but it was just the timing of everything. It wasn't I wasn't fully invested into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, man, I mean, I do training too, basketball training. I do speed and agility training as well. Um, it's been successful over the years. I'm steady growing, steady learning, steady getting better in my craft. So, it's all been a blessing.
Yeah. Youth
Yeah.
and college sports, what has changed the most since you played?
Well, I start with youth. First off, just the exposure, amount of exposure. Back then, like um, when I played, when I was in high school and in college, like we had like what was that, like highschoolelite.com. You had like websites where like it was only two or three real websites where like they was doing high school rankings, but for like the most part, the top 25, top 30, they was always the same. So like when I graduated in '07, so it was like Derrick Rose, Everett Turner, like these type of guys. But nowadays, I see like kids and teams ranked as young as like 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like now it's like I know my sons and they always on YouTube or whatever, and like they look up XYZ player, and these kids is in like 11, 12 years old. Now kids got more access to see other kids as well, as opposed to back then. Like if we wasn't really getting like the notoriety of being published like that back then. I think too, like as far as like when I played, you didn't have as many AAU and travel teams, right? So like back then, 95% of the teams was in the city.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and you really had to be nice to even get a tryout. It wasn't no open tryouts like that for these teams. So now, like, fast forward to today, you got, I know out here alone is what we got at least like 5, 6 different AAU teams within the city.
Yeah.
I think too differently now compared to then too. And it's no knock on nobody's club because everybody is doing it. Everybody doing their own thing, their own way. But compared to when I played when I did play AAU, I played like my freshman and sophomore year. That was my first 2 years like really playing AAU. And like when I played, like it wasn't no registration fee. It wasn't for the actual team fee. Some of these clubs charging like $1,000, $1,200.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, to play. And for some of these kids, some of these parents, like I've came in contact with and talked to, like they can't afford that. So, I mean, I know some clubs make a combination, for the kids that can. But for me, like when I played, like my AAU coach, he was a high school referee and he was a college referee for boys basketball.
Gotcha.
So he selected kids that he felt that was underrated. You know what I'm saying? Because back then it was like the Rising Stars. You had Jordan Sons playing with the Rising Stars.
Yeah.
You had the other teams in the city and whatnot. But like we was going to the King James tournament. We was going to Vegas. We made it to nationals down at in Disney. But like we never paid him any type of registration money. It was more so if we was traveling, he asked for like $50, $60 towards the expenses. We always rented the van and for our hotel.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? So I think too that's the major difference as far as like with that. College is a whole nother level. Like I think it's pretty much the same as far as like when I was there, but the major difference is now is first and foremost the transfer portal. You know what I'm saying? Like if back then, like when you played, you transferred Division One to Division One, you had to sit out a year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And now with the transfer portal, you can transfer you right in the door. You know what I'm saying? You don't got to sit out. It's almost like free agency for college. And then two, kind of like we was talking about earlier, with the whole NAIA thing. Because for me, like I played in NAIA, so I played at Division One, but know that it was Division Two at the time. But now with the NAIA level, everything is merged to one level, so it makes it easier now for guys that's not getting these Division Ones and D2s. you can still go the NAIA route and get your full scholarship
Yeah.
and still play. At least you playing college ball, and you still got a potential chance to play pro overseas. So, I mean, a lot has changed since then, but overall, like, just seeing these kids now have more of an opportunity to play and get exposure, I think that's the most important thing. Um, and I think it's good for these kids. I wish we would have had that, but
Right.
it's good for these kids nowadays to really be able to expose their talent, and really get put on the map. Because I see some kids, and you see it too. Some of these kids can really play, man. So I enjoy watching this new generation, coming up. But yeah, I think that's the most. I think that's what really changed the most.
Gotcha. What would you change about youth sports and college athletics if you had the opportunity just to wave a wand and do whatever you want to do?
I can.
Yeah, you just wave a wand.
I'm
What you
waving. For youth sports, first and foremost, I would come down on the pricing. First and foremost, um, I will make it more affordable for the parents. Keep them in consideration.
Yeah.
I get it. You got to pay for, these different tournaments and things like that. But I guess my question is it fully about the kids, or is it about the money?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would, since there's so many more teams, that means there's more coaches involved.
Yeah.
I would do more teaching than worrying about wins and losses. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would try to make sure that I would make sure that these kids got the proper. They're going about things the right way on the field, off the field, on the court, off the court. So with that being said, like, with my travel coach, my AU coach, he had a lot of connection with a lot of different colleges. So he was telling us about, like, prepping us on the mental aspect of when you get recruited, what to say, what not to say. He was a college referee, body language. Teach these kids how to really conduct themselves in a way where if you getting recruited by a college coach, you know that you know how to conduct yourself. You know your GPA. You know when you get taken out. If you have a bad game, a lot of times these kids, I see a lot of them, like, they doing little fits, and they're not conducting themselves in a way where, like, man, like, if I'm a college coach, would I recruit you?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? With that being said, again, if with the kids that I work with, that's what I do. That's why I feel like I'm different at. I talk about these same things that I'm talking about right now with the kids that I work with. How to conduct yourself on and off the court, on and off the field. Grades. I ask them all the time, what's your grades like? What's your cumulative? Do you know the difference between, your cumulative GPA, and your semester GPA,
Right.
As far as, like, with the college, with college, there's way more scholarship opportunity these days, right? Get somewhere and stay put.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, back then, like, it was tough to get a scholarship when I played. Nowadays, I mean, you getting 6, 7, 8 scholarships for one team. You know what I'm saying? And for the freshmen, like, whether you go JUCO, whether you go NCAA, wherever level you go, it ain't gonna be easy, but they transferring right out right away because they're not used to adversity.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, mentally, they're not tough enough to tough this thing out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was once a freshman like that. So I'm speaking from experience as well. So, with that being said, like, get somewhere and stay put. I mean, like I tell my kids, when you sign your letter of intent, that's like a job.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if do what you can do to get a full scholarship to now when you getting your Pell money and your loan money, whatever you getting, that's all going back in your pocket.
Yep.
Pay yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, a lot of kids, they see the Division 1, they see these big time schools, the Big Ten, and all these other programs, and they see the glam and the glory, but they don't understand the backside of it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They don't see the day to day, things that these college students got to go through. You got to be a special athlete, a special. Yeah, you just got to be special to go to Division 1.
Mm-hmm.
But you just got to be special in general just to play college ball. I would say too, like, appreciate what you got. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, I see a lot of college cats. It's not against them, but they feel entitled because they went such and such. On whatever level. Like, it's almost like I heard some cats like, I ain't going JUCO.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're a college. When you playing college ball, it don't matter what level you at. You playing college ball.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're there. You at that level for a reason. You know what I'm saying? So whether it's grades, whether it's just pure talent, you know what I'm saying? You just not talented enough to go to the level that you're projecting yourself to be.
Correct.
So embrace the process of your journey.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, go through the full process of, if you starting at a JUCO, stick that thing out with that JUCO.
Yep.
That coach recruited you for a reason. He got enough trust in you and faith in you to see, the potential that you don't see in yourself.
Yep.
So for you to kind of like give him the cold shoulder and don't leave on a good term, like, literally these college kids know, like, these coaches, they talk amongst themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? So, like, you can only try to be slick, but if you try, and I'm speaking from experience, you know what I'm saying? So, really appreciate what you got, but also grind, man. Like, really grind this thing out. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you feel like you're a Division 1 player, grind.
Yep. You got to go get it, because what they don't realize is all of this stuff is competition.
Right.
You got to compete to even get in the door.
Right.
You got to compete for that coach's time.
Right.
I seen a clip. Bob Huggins was talking about. He was at Disney. He was watching a kid.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to pull up on him. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And his thing was, he gave the kid a scholarship because it's 8 o'clock in the morning. And he walks in the door. He hears the kid barking out stuff.
Right.
Wait a minute.
Right.
I'm still waking up. I got my cup of coffee, but
Right.
okay, he ready.
Right.
So he's ready if I throw a 7 a.m. practice at him.
Mm-hmm.
They're not ready for the situation, whatever the situation is, because
Right.
they didn't prepare for whatever situation can be.
Right.
And because they don't get that, it's just kind of like, well, it's a shock when they get there. It's like, wait a minute, I have to lift weights. Wait a minute, I got to eat.
Right.
Wait a minute, you got me for 10 hours today?
Right.
Yeah, like, this is part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these schools fit $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. You're here for free.
Bro.
Per your letter of intent. So
Yeah.
they kind of want something from the investment they're giving to you. And that
Mhm.
investment is for you to be successful.
Right.
So y'all got to find your own common ground so that way y'all can get along. And
Mhm.
most people don't realize that.
Yeah. Like, that's what I mean by, like, appreciating it.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, just because you signed that letter of intent, you feel like you made it.
Yep.
No, that's just your foot in the door.
Mm-hmm.
Still got to go out there and go produce.
Yep.
With that being said, like, when I played, like, I've seen guys get sent home.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in the beginning of the season, middle of the season, I seen me myself, like, to be honest with you, like, I quit for like 2 weeks because I wasn't ready for what was to come. Like, I was so used to being the man and everybody, pumping me up, me pumping myself up. So when I got there, it was just like, man, I had a whole culture shock. Like, man, like, these guys can play, and these dudes is hungry. You know what I'm saying? So, like, your name means nothing when you get there.
Mm-hmm.
Your name only means so much, but once you get once you get there, you gotta reprove yourself all over again.
Yep.
So, with these guys, um, I just feel that I play in open gym still, and I play against a lot of guys, in college and whatnot. And for me being 33, you know, I don't feel like I should still be able to guard you and really. And I know I'm quick, but I shouldn't be beating you off the dribble the same way and outsmarting you when you're playing in a collegiate level.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I expect to see more out of you. I don't see a lot of times like these guys like they kind of got that mentality of like when pros from like overseas and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like when they come home, a lot of pros I still play with these guys as well, right? So when they come home, pros don't really go hard like that.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Because they got a season coming up. These college guys, they don't go hard like that. And it's like, for what? I get you got a season coming up, but show me why you at the level that you at. Show me that you're a Division One prospect, you're a Division One recruit. Show me.
Yep.
I shouldn't have to tell you like, hey man, like pick it up on the defensive end. You know what I'm saying? Like I do it, but I guess for me, like, I've been taught a certain way how to play.
Yep.
And I teach a certain way how to play. So it's either go hard or don't be out there.
Right.
So just really pushing yourself in the off season. Push yourself, not just, on the offensive side, but, getting your body right. You know what I'm saying? Like the weight room, getting back in shape, the speed side, the conditioning side, walking back into school like better than what you ended the last season.
Exactly.
So I think a lot of guys, a lot of times, they miss that aspect of it. Or on the social media side, you don't need to show your every workout and showing that you're sweating, because I think that's the new move, the new wave. You know what I'm saying? Like get in there, go really grind, man. Like go push yourself, and just lock yourself into your craft to where like when you get back the next year, you can see a major difference.
Right.
Overall.
It's on social media. I'll leave it just like that.
Man, you see so much of like athletes and lifestyle that they either live or portray to live. It's like, me personally, okay, I had a kid that reached out to me and wanted me to work him out. First thing I did, I went on his page and looked at his Instagram page because he reached out to me, DM me on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know him personally. Like I never really had a conversation with him prior to that.
Yeah.
But the image that he was trying to portray, I'm like, yo, take that down.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's the lifestyle you living, I mean, I can try to persuade you the other way, but if you gonna work with me, like, clean that up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of times, athletes forget that they're athletes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think they need to really be reminded of that as well. Like, so a lot of these athletes, they start to merge off into, trying to live or portray this image of trying to impress others.
Mm-hmm.
Man, look, stay grounded. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay to not be that person that you're trying to portray.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If the sport that you love, if that's truly what you love, stay focused on that. You know what I'm saying? Instead of all the extra stuff.
Right.
Because to me, it's more of a distraction right now. You know what I'm saying? Again, like, I done seen guys that talking about they in the gym, posting pictures or whatever, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. But when I see them, um, they don't look like they got better from the last time that I seen them.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, what you been working on? Again, like, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. So if you're in the gym for 2 hours, you're not even sweating, and you just, going through the motion, and you're not fully getting better, pushing yourself. What are you doing?
Exactly.
So I think it's obviously it's a thing these days. You know what I'm saying? Social media, but make sure you keep a clean profile. I mean, whatever you do, I was once a college student, so I know obviously you don't. It's hard to stay focused, especially like when you go away to school. You know what I'm saying? It's different. Like once you leave out your hometown or your home, your area, and you go away and you're in a new environment, it's totally different.
Yeah.
So to stay focused, and try to just keep a clean profile. Clean it up to where like, and I've even talked to some coaches too, like they'll look at your social media to see what are you talking about, what kind of kid am I getting. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, like you don't want to lose a scholarship because you're trying to impress some people that's not gonna have your back when you get into a bind of potentially losing your scholarship.
Right.
So whatever you do behind closed doors, try to keep it to a bare minimum. To where you can get on to the next level. Post your accomplishments too. I mean, yeah, that's I like seeing kids that like post their offers and post not interest offers.
Offers, yep.
Interest means nothing.
Exactly.
We'll get into that, but like interest. No, since we on the subject, let's just go ahead and tackle that.
Go into it.
Let's tackle that. All right. Because you get an interest, that does not mean that it's an offer.
Right.
And me myself, I ran through that door before, right? So I got an offer. I got an interest letter from Valpo when I was playing in JUCO. All right. So when I got that letter, like, I thought I'm telling people that's an offer. Like, Homer Drew was the coach then. I'm just excited. And it took for one of my guys to like really break it down to me. Like, look, you on a mailing list. Like, they're watching you, yeah, but that means nothing. Until they actually tell you that they're gonna offer you and send you, either fax you the letter of intent, or you go on your visit, or they come to your house. However you gonna know.
Yeah.
You're gonna know that that's the letter of intent. So when they tell you, the head coach tells you like, hey, we want to offer you a full scholarship or partial or whatever it is, that's when you know it's real. But because you got a letter, that's your foot in the door, and just know that they're watching you.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, I mean, that's the difference. And I think a lot of times, a lot of kids, they don't know the difference. It's not really being explained to them and taught.
Right.
So, they also, take that and run the social media with it and say, hey, I got an offer, and then you're not even this material that, you're presenting. That's not saying all, but I've seen it. I talked to some kids who were like, man, like, he told me, hey, I got an offer from NIU. I'm like, what? He's like, I got an offer. I'm like, first off, I know you're a high school coach. Okay, I'm watching you. I know you. So you're not NIU material.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
It's no knock against you, not saying, but I know they didn't offer you. First off, you don't even have the grades. Let's keep it real. And you just not there yet. So yeah, you might got a letter in the mail, or I'm not denying that at all. But as far as no.
It'd be a lot of that going on. Yeah, I'm talking to, who on staff are you talking to?
Right.
And it's like you ask these questions, and it's kind of like,
Right. Right.
And this is what you're doing. We all got smartphones. You mean to tell me
Right.
you're having this conversation that you have been waiting on half your life,
Right.
and you have no recollection? You
Right.
have nothing that you can put on paper? Not an email, phone call,
Right.
letter, nothing.
Right.
You got nothing?
Text message?
No text message, no nothing. They ain't send you a pigeon, like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
What? Like, how'd you communicate with them?
And you got one of them letters, man, because I used to get them too, like where like the the coach, he'll type something up to any recruit that he's really recruiting or watching, and then it's not even his actual signature. It's just like a signature that like a copy of it.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So first off, that was explained to me too. Like when you see the actual ink, that's when you know he took the time out to write you individually instead of like, hey, we're recruiting you or however they word it. But if it's if the signature look the same as the actual letter is not an actual ink, that's not a real letter.
Right.
That's part of the recruiting process.
Yeah.
So again, a lot of these kids, they just don't understand it. Because again, it hasn't been taught to them, so it's not fully their fault for not knowing and getting excited.
Yeah.
But this is something that also needs to be taught to them to where they understand, like, okay, I'm getting recruited, and I'm being looked at by, and even though they're looking at me, like, the next goal is to want to get offered if they're watching.
So knowing some of the pros that come from the Elgin area, do you think enough young people pay attention to those individuals who essentially could show them the way to get to that level?
I think the pros, from Elgin area, we all pay attention to them. We all proud of where they've been and where they're headed. I think part of the problem is for some of the pros from the past is they're not as easily accessible. I feel that sometimes, you kind of wonder, like, man, where's such and such at? Where are you playing at? Like, what are you doing now?
Yeah.
Well, it'd be good for such and such to come back and talk to the young kids to even work them out. I mean, one or two do, but overall, I think it would be a dope thing where, like, if you were a pro, even played some real college ball, come back, man, and show these kids the way. You know what I'm saying? Like, not just basketball, but Elgin got a lot of great football players. I mean, you probably seen, like, the whole flag thing. Flag football is going on. Like, man, like, it's so many my little guys that, like, they really running this. From here to Chicago, and they go to national, and they go to these other tournaments. So it's so many of these guys that, like, it's really nice. So come back and show these young kids the ropes and give them some of your knowledge to where it's gonna rub off on them, and then when they eventually get to high school and they get to the next level, it's gonna fully rub off on them. One thing about Chicago that I love about, like, just the city brand of ball, like, it's a real brotherhood, and it starts at, like, an early age. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see kids at the age of, like, 7, 8, they're in the gym with guys that's, like, former pros and pros right now. You know what I'm saying? So, like, they real nice with it at an early age. So they're passing down, like, they see, like, the Jabari Parkers, they see the Derrick Roses, and, guys looked up to Isaiah Thomas. So it was just, like, a generational thing that kept getting passed down. I think for me and my generation, I think a lot of guys, even in my era, like, they not fully like familiarized with, like, a lot of the pros before us. I think it was kind of like we know some here or there, but we don't fully know our history.
Right.
And I think keep passing it down to the next generation instead of like some guys. I've heard them complain about, well, it's watered down now, or it's this and it's that. Man, look, like, don't question the problem. Be a part of the solution.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? If you question the problem, you don't got a solution. I just feel that it's not helping them, nor what I mean by them is these kids these days and the next generation. Because you got some knowledge that like can really help, these kids, whether it's big or small, So if you can just come through and show them even something as simple as a footwork, like a post move or, just getting them prepared for, the next level, which is where these pros have been and where the next generation is trying to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think that we can tighten it up all the way across the board. I'm definitely willing to be a part of that process. I feel like I am part of that process, but whatever I can do, to help, bring and merge that together. Because I think, man, like Elgin got so many great ball players, like that didn't even make it.
Mm-hmm.
So that can really help this next wave of kids. But these kids also gotta want to learn too.
Right.
So just because they see these guys now that they're older, I don't feel like they fully respect them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think it's got to be a mutual thing on that aspect of it. These young guys got to respect that these older guys paved the way for them, whether they know it or not.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And these old guys, I don't want to call them older guys, but these older guys, show these young kids the way. And I feel like if we all came together and really came together as one, man, we'll be back like on the map again.
For sure. What's your best basketball or athletic story?
Alright, so like, as you notice, I got a chipped tooth, right? Okay. So my friends, they call me Tooth. Stanky Tooth, that's what I call myself too.
Gotcha.
But anyway, like, we playing Larkin, my rival in school. This is my senior year, we playing at Larkin. So like, I'm having a bad first half. Like, trying to force everything, can't buy a bucket. Like when the rival games get going, like, anything can happen. The emotions is very high. That your adrenaline rushing. So man, like they just got the chanting like, "Where's your teeth at?" And then I'm like, right. I'm like, yo, okay,
Wait, really?
So like, but for me, I don't know. It was just like something that instantly triggered.
Yeah.
And I had like 2 in the first half and finished with 26 in that game. But most of that came in the second half. But for me, that was great. So like, to end that out, I said I'm giving them work, straight work. And like, at the end, I just started smiling at them. Just showing.
It be like that, man.
And it's crazy because like, that was in the paper of me smiling, just like that, and it was just like, for them they brought the best out of me that night, man. Like, when you get in them zones and when you competitive and once everything started flowing and everything started feeling good, man, it was a wrap for them dudes, man. So, besides that, just on the training tip too, man, like seeing my kids, get to the next level, that's, for me, that's the most important thing, seeing my Burleson boys, make it far in the state playoff run. I mean, accomplishing everything that they accomplished. I mean, winning over 30 games. I got a girl that I work with. She come back from ACL injury, but she got like 20 Division I offers right now. You know what I'm saying? And just the fact that like, despite of having an injury going into your junior year, you still got offers that you can rely back on. So it's like you already accomplished the goal that you wanted to accomplish, and that is, getting a offer.
Yeah.
But now you got multiple. So seeing my kids, just get to the next level and reaching goals, that for me is like the best story out of everything else.
All right, so girlfriends and time management combined with victim mentality versus growth mindset.
So we starting with girlfriend and time management.
Yep.
For athletes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think that's a touchy subject.
It definitely is.
Oh, you really, the word time management, that's self-explanatory. You got to be able to manage working on your craft, and if you do have a girlfriend in your relationship or whatever, you got to keep the balance. But I think you got to understand what's your main passion.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta get to a point to where, like, if and more so being in college, okay? If when you're in college, man, like, you gotta, when you in season, it's totally different than when you in high school. When you in season in high school, you know what I'm saying? Like, you literally over the road. You got road games. You have like actual scout reports. You gotta actually watch film. Like this for the 3 or 4 months that you in season. Like, that really is your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't have time to. If you are in a relationship, that's on the back burner. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you can't. Your problem with your relationship, you can't let that affect how you playing in the game, and you can't let that affect, your classwork.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've seen it. I've seen it even in college. I've seen some guys, man, get into it about girls.
Yeah.
Like, and I ain't gonna. I've seen like my teammates get into it about that, about the same girl, and it's like, man, like, that brought division within the team because now you got to pick a side. You know what I'm saying? Even if you don't want to pick a side. So, I mean, to avoid all that, man, like, if you have a girlfriend, man, make sure that she's supportive of what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
and supportive of the lack of time that you can give her while you're in season. If you have a long distance relationship, because I tried it myself, where like I had a girlfriend back at home when I originally went off to school, and I'm 4.5 hours away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you ultimately that's hard to do, but you're going to make a decision. Is this something you really want to do, and is it really benefiting you mentally?
Yeah.
Otherwise, man, you just got to really focus on your craft, on your grind, on and really focus on being a college student.
Mm-hmm.
Time management is everything. You just got to really make sure that when you off at school, you don't got your mom, you don't got your dad. So I mean, when you're in high school, you can not go to class and just get it attention. In college, you don't go to class. I remember I had one class I didn't go to first day, and I got dropped from that class.
Mm-hmm.
So really prioritizing, getting good study habits, getting practicing on, getting your homework done, and practicing on, getting any tests that you got coming up, working on that while being able to stay focused on the team goals, your personal goals, and doing whatever you need to do to, come up with the win and still produce as an individual.
Yeah.
So I think that's big. The other question was
The victim mindset versus growth.
I think that comes with that shows a sign of maturity.
Yeah.
I think when I hear a lot of times guys blame things on their coaches and blame things on their teammates and blame everyone else, but take accountability for themselves. You know, and at the end of the day, like you didn't get the win. More than likely, if you complaining about something, and to that regard, you didn't win the game.
Mm-hmm.
So, looking at yourself first and foremost, and understanding like what did you do to help contribute to the game? What didn't you do? Being able to take constructive criticism. You know, I mean, it's not that's a great thing because how can you grow if you don't if you don't have anyone telling you, what your flaws are,
Right.
you know. So for me, I really, um, when I was in college, I got better when I started looking at my flaws,
Mm-hmm.
understanding like what I needed to do better.
Yeah.
I knew what I was great at, but what do I need to do better, as far as like on my weaknesses. Now, when you at least getting better with your weakness and you sharpening up your strengths, you don't really have too many flaws in your game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, really uh, just being well rounded, overall. So, yeah, just take accountability, man. Like if someone that really cares about you, they telling you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, and that's gonna make you a better player. Suck that up, get out your feelings, and just work. That's it. That's all.
Because the other part about it is like with dating, as we get older, like let's take college out of it. I can't go to work mad because me and my girlfriend got into an argument.
Right.
That means I'm not gonna get this paycheck.
Right.
And it's the same thing we at school. It's like,
Right.
Okay, now I suck today in practice.
Right.
I know why I suck.
Yeah.
But I'm bringing it with me.
Right.
That's got to stay at home.
Yeah. That's what coaches call cancer to the team.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like you don't want to bring that and spray that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's almost like when you're in the game, right?
Yeah.
Like think next play. You turn the ball over. All right, make it up. Next play.
Mm-hmm.
You still got to go on the defensive end, so try to create a turnover, on the other end. So, I mean, when you're in a relationship, in college, you really in just high school, just in general, in high school too, because it even starts in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Get a healthy enough relationship that can help balance you, like with whatever with your sport, but also not forgetting the student side of the aspect of it too,
right.
To where it's not take you away from it. And I mean, at that point, if it's meant to be, it'll happen. But if not, your career is as long as you can really grind that thing out and push it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you got first and foremost. I mean, your girlfriend, they may come and go, but this ball can help potentially get you paid.
Yep.
So stay focused on the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Gotcha. All right, so last segment, we got trophy time. Let people know where they can find you for training, and then just your social medias.
So for training coming up, man, I'll be out in St. Charles doing some basketball training and also speed and agility training. I'll also be doing some stuff with the Huntley Park District, also basketball and speed and agility training. I mean, you can definitely reach out to me either on Facebook, Brandon Grissette. I got a Facebook training page as well. I don't really be on there too much, but you kind of check out some of it. It's called All Grind or Luck Training. As far as Instagram, you can check me out on Instagram, B_Grissette, or you can also look up, the training brand, All Grind or Luck Training, or you can reach out to me on Snapchat, Stanky25. So yeah, otherwise, email is good too. Brandon Grissette, 3030 at gmail.com. And I'll get back to you, you know, as quickly as I can. So, appreciate you, man.